Hey, how's it going everybody? It's Gatch and welcome back to the channel. And on today's episode we're going to be taking a look at Guwange, a vertical shoot 'em up developed by Cave and published by Atlas for the arcade in 1999, and will get a console port to the Xbox 360 in November of 2010. This is one of the first Cave developed shooters I've played in a while since playing Dodonpachi on a local multicade years ago. Actually, it turns out that Cave has former employees of Toaplan, which actually explains a lot of why most of their games are real tight across the board, often with a lot of visual flair. Though before we get too far into the game, let's check out the story real quick. During the Muromachi period of Japan, an increasing number of people fall victim to possession by Shikigami. While getting granted spiritual powers, the strains often cause the host to die exactly 1 year after possession. Legend has it that Guwange, the hostile god trapped in Mount Gokumon, that if possessed and one can gather the 5 talisman of the Chinese elements from its serving demon lieutenants and slay the god, the Shikigami will be destroyed and the curse broken. Gameplay wise, this is an out-of-the-gate wild vertical shooter, and Guwange wastes no time before throwing waves of enemies, and bullets start flying in patterns that require quick reflexes to thread through while trying to grab as many coins as possible without losing all of your stocks. Through the game's 6 stages, you'll mow through wave after wave of enemies, and you'll have a standard shot which you can swivel by holding down the fire button, along with a screen clearing attack which you can rotate like a flamethrower while holding down the special attack button. Your Shikigami can also be summoned and move amongst the map, putting in work on foes that are out of reach or behind cover, as well as slow down enemy fire, giving you a little bit more time to think about how to evade. You can choose from 3 characters, each with their own unique Shikigami and weapon set from kunai to arrows, which can be upgraded several times. Each character also has their own independent storyline and ending, so replay incentive is there to see how each campaign wraps up. Guwange is easily one of the craziest bullet hell games I've ever played, and I can definitely see why Cave shooters are as renowned as they are after playing just a couple so far recently. The challenge it throws at you on the surface is don't get hit and don't lose stocks. Meanwhile, underneath, the objective is to collect as many coins from downed enemies that you can. You'll see pretty quickly that you can get absolutely bodied by this game with the quickness, but if you can make it through each level with a lot of coins, the multiplier increases significantly. Graphics wise, this has a style rooted in 14th to 16th century Japan, and it's got some wild looking enemy designs based on the folklore of the time. This and Shikondo Soul Eater are similar in regard that the enemy design of which some are humans, and then there's others that are a lot more anthropomorphic. There are some really dope enemy and boss designs here. With it being rooted in history and mythology, it creates some striking results. But right from the start, you'll notice an almost hyper-real aesthetic to it, and it has some sharp animation along with some sick enemy and environmental design. This one also gets pretty gory at times, but also kind of falls in line with the overall aesthetic. The game gets really interesting once you get into the more mythical creations like the disembodied heads that fly around and pop out of wells sometimes. Then there's giant bosses like the cat tarantula hybrid, which is really eye-catching amongst everything else you'll see here. Environments also look really rad here with some lush detailed backgrounds, much of which is destructible. With that, be prepared for a hail of not only bullets, but a lot of explosions from all around the board. The attention to detail with the shading and texture is also pretty fire, since there's so much intricate work coming through the Cave 68000 board it's using. Also interesting to note, while it's centrally vertical scrolling, it also makes pass through each stage on almost every axis at times. You'll go sideways and even diagonally in parts of Guwange, which again is a nice touch, and it adds on to what's already a fairly unique playthrough. Sound wise, this also has some really dope music that has got some levels and vibes to it. It's influenced by the era in which it takes place, and it will strike up some notes of Eastern cinema classics as you blast through the game. There are some really driving tracks here that play well off the more subdued moody tracks that almost feel like they should be straight out of a horror movie. Sound effects work here is also top notch, with some crispy voice sampling and solid foley with the explosions and impact effects in the world. There's even a few sound bites that will sound familiar to 80s and 90s anime and cinema, which is dope. Guwange legit cooks in almost every aspect here, and its sounds are just as memorable as everything else working in tandem with it. Overall, Guwange is an awesome shoot 'em up that off the rip throws a steady challenge at you, and luckily the Xbox 360 port has unlimited continues, so you can take as many chances as needed to finish it. 6 stages might not seem like much, but once you've gone through them the first time, you'll typically want to run it again to either get a better score or see other characters' endings. It's got a unique vibe to it, and the replay potential is absolutely there with its 3 modes to play through on offer. Guwange gets an 8 out of 10 and comes highly recommended to shoot 'em up fans that are looking for something unique as well as challenging. This is also a good entry point for those who want to learn more about Cave shooters, since this is one of many releases amongst a heavy catalog of shoot 'em up games. This is available on the Xbox 360 as well as the Xbox One and Series X, and is definitely worth checking out along with other titles from their catalog, one of which we'll take a look at soon. Small hint, it's getting a remaster in December. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you find these videos helpful, that's awesome. I'm glad you can use it as a resource. Check back often. We'll have more reviews and commentaries coming up in the near future. But until then, stay safe out there and take it easy. I'll see you on the next one.